Oh, what's going on, everyone? This is Steve Larsen, and you're listening to Sales Funnel Radio.
Welcome to Sales Funnel Radio, where you'll learn marketing strategies to grow your online business using today's best internet sales funnels. And now, here's your host, Steve Larsen.
All right, guys. Hey, I apologize first off that I've been a little bit less consistent with this podcast in the last little bit here. It's been so busy. It's been so busy. We've been going and building a lot. Russel's been in inner circles. There's a lot of stuff been going on in the sales funnel world in general, and it's so fun living in the in the ClickFunnels arena, because I feel like I'm in the nucleus of where marketing principles and status quo is created. So it's fun. It's cool to like sit back and go like, oh my gosh, like I can see how this is going to become a thing in the whole industry, and really fun to get to do that. So anyway, it's been busy. It's been fast. The last 4 days alone, I have built 4 membership sites. And these are not like little tiny membership sites. Anyone would be happy to just have one of them. There's been 500 videos put inside of them, redesigning them each one at a time. It's been fast pace, and I've really, really enjoyed it. There was something interesting, though, that happened as I was building these membership sites, and I was putting them all together. And honestly, if you don't have a membership site, I think you should go create one. Even if you're like, hey, Steven, I don't know what the heck to put inside of it. I would go create a membership site for the sole reason of you being able to put cool content in there. When people are like, hey, whatever your expertise is, whatever that you do out there, you're like, hey, how do I do X, Y, and Z? If you go make videos on that and put it in there, that becomes a really cool asset, or at least a cool bonus or something. Anyway, I really think that ClickFunnels has massive power with membership sites, which we've been building. Our $25,000 packages, guess what? Membership sites are built in ClickFunnels. $15,000, guess what? Built inside ClickFunnels. Several $10,000 packages, all the membership sites are built in ClickFunnels. I've had a lot of people come back and say, there's no way this is built in ClickFunnels, and I promise you it is. I'm not a coder, and I build it out. But anyway, that was a bit of a rant there. But I noticed something as I was building it. I was probably on video number 400. I was placing in, I was building, I was going fast paced. There's resource links, PDF downloads, checklists, right? All over the place, all this stuff, right? That you'd want to have when going through a course to help someone actually understand and learn. And what was interesting is I got about halfway through the first one, and I realized that I was not, you guys know, like, it's freaky, but you can get in a car and you're driving somewhere, and then all of a sudden you realize like you're there, and you don't totally realize you got there. Like your brain's on autopilot. You know what I mean? Kind of that feeling. I'm not saying I don't pay attention when I drive. You know what I mean? But I'm saying like your brain can be in other places, and you're just kind of, it's kind of second nature for you to drive the route you are, and you're not really noticing that tree on the side of the road. You know what I mean? That happens to me sometimes when I build, but not usually. Usually that happens to me when I do things where it's not so creatively intense, where little details matter. But I found myself doing that. And I realized, like, holy crap, like dozens and dozens of videos and lesson sections had gone by, and I didn't even notice it. And I was like, how interesting. I wonder why that is with this. A lot of it was a lot of copy paste, building stuff. There was some redundancy in the task I was doing, which made kind of sense. But I don't actually think that that's the reason why why they got done so fast, why I got them done so quickly. It's 4 massive sites in 3.5 days. And those weren't the only things I did either. It's huge sites. And like, I thought it was going to take me way longer than that, like a week or 2 or 3 weeks to build out these just massive things. And I was like, how? And a lot of you guys go through this. You're like, okay, I've got these huge sites to build, or these funnels, or whatever it is. And you're probably like me. Maybe you're not a coder or programmer, so it might feel a little bit more intense for you to go get those things done, right? Anyway, I realized why I was able to do it. It's because there was a pattern that I started following. I had 2 monitors up. And even in the way I was building, there was this system that I was creating without realizing that I was creating it. And I was putting this whole system together. And, I'd look over on the left, see what I was modeling, grab the URL in the center, copy and paste in the text, copy, paste, repeat, open up, drop inside the link. You know what I mean? I can still see the process in my head because I've been doing it for the last 3.5 days, just pumping out these huge sites. And I thought, or these huge membership funnels and sites. And I was like, how interesting is it that it's that way, that I was able to do that? Usually, I mean, I've built over 300 funnels in the last year and a half working at ClickFunnels. And I can't get into that. I usually have to think consciously about every single decision that it needs to be made. And it almost freaked me out. I'm not going to lie. It almost kind of scared me a little bit, because I was like, is there a detail I'm missing? And I actually had to backtrack a little bit, but I realized that I was creating these processes and systems to handle things that I was doing over and over and over again. And I suddenly had all these experiences I've had in my past just kind of start flooding back to me. I was like, oh my gosh, that's like this. That's like this. Like, there was a company that I was working for when I was in college. It was around the time I was trying to prove to the industry that I was worth my salt as a funnel builder, that I honestly had, so much more to learn. I obviously still do, but I was trying to prove that, like, hey, I'm a runner. I'm willing to work. I've got the base skills down. Somebody hire me, right? I was trying to say, like, somebody get to me, somebody hire me, and I was running around. I was shotgun emailing all these people, and I ended up working for this company, and I had the most interesting experience when I was working there. I was excited. I was trying to prove myself. I wasn't charging them anything. I just wanted to show that I knew what I was doing in these certain areas. And I was like, look, I know you have no idea what a funnel is. Let me just go ahead and build it. And if it makes money, let's talk about me making some kind of cash or whatever. Only if. So it's zero risk to you. And they're like, okay, that's sweet. And that's how it happened. And so I start, building this funnel. And actually, I ran an ask campaign to their current customer list. I was very strategic on who it was I chose, and I ran this ask campaign, and I built this funnel based off the data, and it was a huge win, and they made all this money, and I was like, oh my gosh, it worked. I was like, what? This is so cool. And it was really cool because I learned something super valuable as I was moving forward and building this funnel. It was a water product, and these guys had an amazing product. I mean, it was a fantastic product. But I realized, and I'm not, I don't want to offend anybody. I realized that their business had been successful because of the product, not because of their business. Like, Steven, whoa, wait, what are you talking about? That makes no sense. Of course they're successful because of the business. Like, no, they really didn't have much of a business itself. There were very, very few business elements to it. And they had survived for years and years and years on the merits of a freaking amazing product. Okay, now let's compare that to tons of other scenarios that I have built for, where it's like, we'll go out and we'll build for someone, and we realize, oh my gosh, the same thing. These people over here have successfully been a business for the last number of years strictly because their product is amazing, not because they have a great business. Okay, now let's think of the difference between the two. Obviously, the product is, that's obviously the medium that the cash comes in. However, there's so many times I've built funnels for people where their business was not able to handle the funnel. Does that make sense? This is a very, very important distinction that I learned about 3 years ago as I started building for all these other people. It was about 2.5 years ago. And I started looking around and realizing, like, oh my gosh, like, some of these people have no idea why they're being successful. They understand that the product is why they're making money, but they don't actually have a business. No, one of my favorite books is a book called The E-Myth, E-Myth Revisited. Now, I know you guys have all heard this before, or you've read the book before. If you haven't read the book E-Myth, you should go read it, because it's going to talk very, very clearly about something that I'm trying to. This one principle that I'm talking about right here has been one of the things repeatedly I've seen over and over and over again between someone who's a so-so funnel builder and someone who is a freaking great funnel builder with a business. Okay? And I didn't know my own processes at the time. I didn't understand what, and honestly, I thought that I was like, process, like, I don't want to go put processes together. James Friel, freaking man, right? He's got a podcast, I believe with Dean Holland, and they got a podcast called Just the Tips. It's amazing. It's hilarious. Anyways, I think I'll be on it soon. And James Friel came in, and he's a master at processes. And he came in a year ago, and he sat down with each one of the employees at ClickFunnels, and he was like, "Hey, like, what do you do? Like, describe your processes to me, and let's figure out for your position what these processes are, so we can package them up. So in case we ever, we want to add stuff to them, and we'll make more of a system out of this." And it was so funny because he came to me And we sat down in the side room and we start chatting and he's like, hey, what are your processes? How come you're successful? I'm like, what are the things that you do when you're building a funnel where anyone else could walk up behind and pick it back up? And I almost got offended. Not offended, that's the wrong word. But I certainly was tongue-tied. I was not able to actually tell him what my processes were. I didn't have processes. Even as Russel's funnel builder, when I was just barely getting in there, I didn't have processes. I barely still do. And I was like, what's step number one? I was like, oh gosh, I don't know. It's different every single time. There's so much art behind what I do. I would not consider myself a designer. I would not consider myself an artist. But just the art of the marketing, the art of putting all these things together, I was like, I have no idea how to actually define my process. What do I do? This is a super important question you have to ask yourself. Why does Microsoft and why does, why does IBM, why does Microsoft, why does Apple buy little tiny incubator startups, right? These little companies that have gone and they've built this cool app, and this app has gone out and they've launched and they've put this app out into the space, right? Now, let's think about this. Does Apple have the capacity to build the same software that other little tiny startup built? Of course they do. They have ridiculously amazing engineers. So why would Apple care to buy the little startup with the brand new app? It's because of the following. It's because of the business. They've put processes in place. They know that when they do X, Y, and Z, they get this many dollars out. They have a process in place. That's what a funnel is. I mean, essentially, you're creating a process for revenue. And most people have no idea why they make money. And that's what the thing I was realizing when I started doing that work 2.5 years ago for this other company. I was like, oh my gosh, every sale for you is different. Every customer service inquiry for you is different. Every time someone needs a refund or there's a part that broke or whatever, it's different. Every time you do this, it's different. It's different. It's different. And you know how much of a headache that causes inside of you? It's ridiculous. And it was funny because I had to take a big old slice of humble pie. It was actually the full pie when I was talking to the most, the brilliant James Friel, and I was talking with him, and he was like, yeah, what are your processes? And I'm like, I don't freaking know. I've never actually thought about what those are. I know what the outcome is, but I don't know what the processes are to get me to the outcome. And I was like, I don't know. And guys, that was like a year ago, and I am just barely figuring out what my processes are when I funnel build. I obsess so much with the process of funnel building and the process of marketing itself that I follow these blueprints all over the place that I just know work. None of it's mine. And what I've been doing is I've been trying to sit back and go like, okay, why am I actually able to build it that fast? How come that happened that quick? I'm not saying I'm the best in the world. I know I'm not, but I know I'm pretty good. And so why did it work? So here's this is from the book The E-Myth. I thought I'd grab it. This is one of my books on the shelf. I just dropped like $3,000 more on books. I built an entire another bookshelf, so I have. Oh man, what's funny is everyone's got these motives for why they want to be successful. I honestly want to read. I want to buy I buy books. I can't stand audiobooks. It's not that I can't stand them. I actually love listening to them. But if the book is only an audiobook, or if the book is only a Kindle book, for whatever reason, for me, it is not worth as much. I'm like, oh, well, it's not worth its salt. It didn't make it to be a physical book. I'm not even going to listen to it or read it or Kindle or whatever. You know what I mean? I like to buy the physical thing. Anyway, so I looked up and I was like, oh yeah, this is just like what I learned about in the E-Myth like 4 or 5 years ago. Anyway, this is on page 83, and towards the bottom there, he's talking about the importance of creating the business, basically turning each position into a franchisable thing. Meaning not that you go, what he's teaching is he's teaching how to create processes, and he's teaching you the importance of looking at each position. So you might be a solopreneur. You might have a 9-to-5. You listening right now, you might be doing something else that actually pulls up your actual income. And you're trying to build a funnel to take you out of that 9-to-5. Or you're trying to build a funnel to get you to the next step or whatever you're trying to do, or it's the ascension, or you know what I mean? Whatever process you're in, whether or not you have a team, it's important to start looking at the processes and all the things that are involved in turning the dollar for you. That's how you're going to hire people out. That's how you're going to replace yourself eventually, right? And so Anyway, this whole thing's been on my mind a lot lately. Anyway, so this is in the bottom of page 83. And he says, because the business format franchise is built on the belief that the true product of a business is not what it sells, but how it sells it. Okay? Did you just understand? He basically said, look, an actual business, it's not, what is a business? He's saying it's not the product that it sells. A business is merely how it sells the product. A business is a set of systems. A business is a set of processes that talk with each other that sells the product. And that's all he's saying. He says, the true product of a business is the business itself. The true product of a business is the business itself. I thought, how fascinating, how interesting. That's why Apple wants to go buy the little startup who has the app. It's not that they can't make the technology, it's that they've proven how to sell the technology. They've proven how to sell the app. They've proven that, hey, these are the positions you need. So if you want to buy us or acquire us or whatever it is, you now know turnkey-wise, you have to have this position, this position, this position. They do this, this, and this. This one does X, Y, and Z, and this one does 1, 2, and 3. And if you can start to do that with everything that you're doing, holy crap, it's a lot of work. Tim Ferriss actually talks about this in the 4-Hour Work Week. And he talks about every time he'd go, or when he'd go launch a product or he put his supplement out there, from his supplement company, he fielded all of the customer service questions himself for the first month. And he did it for the sole reason that he could literally keep track of every question that was coming in and the answer that he started making a format for on the way out. We did the same thing, and then he went out, and he then he hired a person, and they literally just had to read the docs that he had created and just send the response back out. I mean, he made it dummy proof. That's the whole reason why I was able to blow up some 4-hour work week. That's why that's possible. It's because of all the systems he put in place. He made it turnkey, every position around him. Then he just systematized that thing, found someone, boom. Then they only talk to him when there's contingencies, when there's things that were not in that process. It's the same thing with funnel building. I now know when I funnel build, that first thing I've got to go do is I sit down, whether it's me or Russell or us together or whatever it is, and usually I almost always draw it out. I draw literally on paper. I draw boxes, and I put a few details in the box. Okay, now this is one page. Okay, now this link goes over to the other page. This is the next part of the funnel. That starts this email sequence. I'm going to add them to this list, and I kind of diagram out the entire thing. But the step that's even before that is I have to know what the actual offer is inside of the funnel. Every single sales funnel is a mini value ladder. Okay. A business has a value ladder where you're trying to send people up to higher dollar amounts and different value levels and things like that. But each individual step in the value ladder is a mini value ladder. That's what a funnel is. That's why you can have upsells, right? That's just a higher point on an upsell or a downsell, higher ticket things in the back end, things like that, follow-up sequences that push to more and more dollars in the back, right? That is a value ladder. And so anyways, what I do is I sit back and we have to think through okay, what's the offer? What's the value ladder of this funnel alone? How does it fit into the bigger picture value ladder, right? The big macro level one. And then I go and we draw that out and we draw these pieces out and we put it all together, and that's how it works. And those are my first few steps. And then even before I start building before that, then I start thinking through, okay, well, what's it going to look like? What are the colors like? Is there something proven in the industry I need to start looking at and start putting those elements in? Are there things that I know that are little ninja tricks from other unrelated industries that also work? Are there things that, and I start putting all those pieces together way before I ever start building the new funnel. And I think one of the issues that I see over and over again is that people just go straight into ClickFunnels and they just start building crap and they don't know what they're building towards or to, and there's nothing that they haven't planned any kind of ascension. They haven't planned anything for their bait, how they'll get people in there. They haven't planned anything so much as I funnel hacked, meaning I went and I copied and pasted, and I looked at I looked at someone else's page and I put it all together. That's not how it works. That's not what funnel hacking is. That's like the surface level of funnel hacking. Anyway, I was totally way more of a rant than I ever thought it would be. But basically, this is it. This is the whole point of the podcast that I wanted to make on the show today, is that there's really two different strength levels of a business. The weaker form of your business, how should I say this? The weaker form of revenue is when you have a business that survives strictly because the product is amazing. Now, I don't know about you, but I know several places where that's true, where the product is amazing, but the actual business, it sucks. How many times have you said, oh, yeah, they got a great thing, but their customer service sucks over there? Okay, that's a perfect example of a product that is literally driving all the revenue. There's barely enough business built behind it. I mean, so many times we've built funnels for people, and then we get a frantic phone call 3 days later begging us to turn it off. Turn it off. My business can't handle it. I don't have enough inventory. I can't handle the volume you're sending over this way. Right? It's because there's not enough business built underneath the funnel to support the strength of the funnel that we've built. So anyways, that's the first level. It's the weakest kind, is when a business survives strictly because the product is good. Now that's great, and it's a good place to be. And it's better than not having the business at all. In fact, it's probably the place to start. I would rather that you start there instead of trying to build up a business and figure out your freaking logo and the stupid crap that doesn't matter. Only worry about revenue first. That doesn't matter. Revenue. Sale. Nothing else. Don't go rent an office. Don't go. None of that. Don't do any. It's funny. Any of the stuff that I learned in business school is probably the stuff you should not do at the beginning. All right. First, go to get the sale. But it is ultimately the weaker form and the weaker part of business. It's better to be the business style where the business survives because of processes. Where there's enough processes behind it, you can walk away and the thing could run itself. That's how the 4-hour work week works. That's how Russel's company works. That's how there are processes, and whether or not every single position has been defined and all the processes behind it, and here's how we actually put all the funnel together, and here's how we put things in. Whether or not you've actually put those things together consciously, every person knows what those things are. My challenge to you is to write them down and to start taking note of what those things are. If you get hit by a bus, heaven forbid, what are they going to do to pick it up? What are they going to do? Is everyone else's jobs going to be on the line just because you're the only guy that knew what was going on? Like that sucks. It should not be that way. At first it can be that way for a while. And Tim Ferriss talks about that, and that's how he did it for a while. But eventually, systematize the whole thing. So, anyways, that's literally the entire purpose of this whole podcast. Is I just wanted you to know that it can take a while, and I am literally just barely starting to figure out why my speed on these things is so quick. And it's because literally, subconsciously, every single time, I have always built a process. And there's been several times where Russell will say, hey, dude, how's it going on that one thing? I was like, honestly, dude, I'm only on the first page, but I just got the process down. And so I know the rest of them will go quick. And it's true. There's bam, the rest of it goes quick because I got the system down at the beginning. Anyway, I feel like I'm saying the same thing over and over again now. But hey, so one thing real quick I wanted to point out to you guys is that there is definitely a very forward and definitive process that has been put together on how to build a live webinar funnel. Now, this last Saturday, I went and I built a live webinar funnel live in front of a bunch of people. I don't remember how many people were on, but they watched me build the whole thing. And I honestly just thought it'd be kind of fun to do it. I thought it'd be a lot of fun to put the whole funnel together live, answer any questions, and see whatever things people are struggling with. There's no replay or anything like that. I'll probably do one again some other time shortly. If you want to follow next time I do something like that, go to salesfunnelbroker.com/live. salesfunnelbroker.com/live is the place where I broadcast and build out things live, whatever I'm building, so you can watch and learn. And I like to interact back and forth. So anyway, I went and I built this live webinar funnel in front of a whole group of people, and there's always a map that is true for that funnel style, and I know it very well. Anyway, I made it into this really cool PDF document, and I'd like to give it to you guys. I'd like to give it to everyone on this call. I said call because I'm in front of a mic. Everyone who listens to this podcast, I'd like to be able to give to you guys. But I do ask for one thing in return. I would like to. I've never collected testimonials, and if you guys can just grab your iPhone or whatever it is and just shoot a sincere testimonial about me or whatever about me or something like that or whatever it is, just shoot a testimonial around myself. And if you send it over to me in Facebook Messenger, I'll send that PDF of the map of what it takes to make an actual successful live webinar funnel, as well as the share funnel link to the funnel. I'll give that to you guys for free. It's going to be something I charge $400 for in the future. So anyway, I just wanted to drop that on out because I see over and over and over again, there's all these people they're reaching out to me saying, hey, Steven, would you look at my webinar funnel? And I'd go in and check out the webinar funnel, and it was like, I was surprised the thing was running. It was so bad. Anyway, so I've built it and I put it all together, and I'll give you the funnel as well as the map. It's a PDF that's it's pretty rocking. So anyways, if you want that, go ahead and record a testimonial to me and send it to me in Facebook Messenger, and immediately I'll just shoot back, or as soon as I can, the PDF as well as the share link to that actual webinar funnel. So anyways, reach out to me. My name is just Steven Larsen, meaning that's the spelling of it's STPHEN. Larsen on Facebook, so you can find me. So anyways, that's it, guys. Go create processes. It is more important than I ever gave stock to. And I'll talk to you later. Bye.
Thanks for listening to Sales Funnel Radio. Please remember to subscribe and leave feedback. Want to get one of today's best internet sales funnel for free? Go to salesfunnelbroker.com/free funnels to download your pre-built sales funnel today.